Yes, indeed. Wednesdays mean Sean Salisbury. It's good to have you, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good, my man. I've decided though, it's great to be on with you. I've decided though that I can't go back to back with you anymore. I'm going to have to take Joel Embiid days off. I'm just telling you, four
What a
months in
joke.
advance. I'm telling you, 4 months in advance. So like maybe in March, I might not feel well. So I can't go back to back. So I just
It's
want you to know that.
embarrassing. How embarrassing is that?
You know what would
Seriously.
be a classic? What if all of a sudden the CBA you were allowed to say, oh, you're going to take days off? Well,
Come on.
we're going to dock your pay. You know how quickly they'd play?
Oh, my God. It's a
They
joke.
wouldn't take a day off. So
Oh,
listen, he's a great player, but
it's a joke.
it's
It's a joke. It's a joke.
yeah, go tell a hockey player that and
Oh, my
come see
God.
me.
Are
No
you kidding
offense,
me?
go
Come
tell
on.
a hockey player that.
Hey,
It's
before we get into football, since you brought up hoops, what's the pulse in Houston on the Rockets right now?
really good, Grant. There, young energy with a couple KG veterans and with some attitude. And Dylan, they got some guys with a little attitude. Steven Adams gives them some banger. They've needed that physicality to move you around.
Yep.
And with the Jalen Green and Şengün extensions, I think Şengün's an underrated player. Grant,
I do too.
you cover it. He's a really
He's
he's
good.
a really he's good. The key for them is they'll score. Grant, they can knock down threes.
Yeah.
They can 3-and-D. They've got players, and this is about the year a couple of them, come into maturity, right, or another level to their game. And I think Udoka does a great job. The whole key for them, will they defend consistently on the defensive end? Will they, sometimes you let it go. We're in that NBA. They're young. If they'll buy into defending and playing perimeter defense and getting to the backboards, they improved like 15 games last year. They were 41. They were. I think they're a team that really can compete for one of those late playoff spots. I do, if they'll play defense. They're going to score, and they're young and they're enthusiastic. But having a young guy sustaining 82 games of playing on both ends, which is damn near impossible. You have to. Yeah. On the nights, here's what I know about good teams, Grant. On the nights you don't shoot well, you got to defend and win a game 97-94. That's what you have to do. And if they're committed to that, it'll be fine. But, man, they keep stockpiling these young players that are really good and then bringing in some veterans and a guy that, like I said, some intimidation will be good for them from some of the big bangers. I like this team. They're not ready to challenge for the Western Conference yet, but they are willing. They are in a position.
They're on the right track.
You're damn right, and they're going to beat a few people along the way that they weren't supposed to beat. I like where they're headed, and I like the coach.
And speaking of the NBA, join us here tonight at 8 o'clock. Ryan in Sacktown, Jerry Reynolds. We're going to preview the Kings season, which begins tomorrow night at home against the Timberwolves. All right, I want to go back to Saturday, Austin, Texas, Georgia, Texas. The fact that Georgia won the game, to me, averted a disaster. Your thoughts on the reversal in the fourth quarter?
First, let me step ahead with that. Kirby Smart had a right to be pissed because when you make the call and it's not reviewable, which goes back to the Bill Belichick philosophy, every play should be reviewable. Doesn't mean you give them 20 plays to review. You still give them the same amount of flags, but they should be able to review it. Every play is a judgment call. They should be. I mean, if it's going to change the game, you can go in there and look at, oh, that's not pass interference, or it is pass interference, just like offsides, just like, if you can't review like in encroachment. Why? Isn't that a judgment call if a guy's in the neutral zone or not? I mean, Grant, I understand why Kirby was pissed, because once they make the call, you come back. And I can't believe, please, fans, don't buy into the fact that throwing water bottles on the field and doing that extends it. And that one, it worked. It did. But please don't be that does that in a call that buys time. We don't need that. And nobody liked it. Not Sark, not Kirby. Just can't do it. And it was Bush League, and hopefully they learned a lesson. Nobody got hurt. But a $250,000 fine will make University of Texas say, don't do that shit anymore.
Oh boy.
But Grant, after when they got it right. Okay, that's what they did. They got it right. Now, I wish there was a better way to get it more efficiently, but Sark had a reason to be pissed because it was the right call when it was done. After they went back and the guy, and what's wrong with huddling as a group and saying, I might have missed this, man. That's why you got all these visions. I might have missed it. What do you guys think? The majority rules. Right. Isn't that what we're in for? The strike zone, guys run out second, touchdown pass in the end zone. We want to get it right. So I get why Sark was fuming at the beginning and why Kirby was fuming at the end, because the timing of it. But in truth, they got it right. And the next part of it is Texas got their physical ass kicked.
Yes, they did.
Georgia looked like we've seen them look the last 5 years. Where
Manhandled them.
they are grown men compared
Oh
to
boy.
they have these last 5 years. Granted, they've had some moments this year, but the most physical team in America the last 5 years has been Georgia. At minimum, a fight. It just has. Alabama close, and Washington's had their moments, and Michigan.
Yeah.
But that looked like a team that can win it. But I can tell you, Grant, coming out of that game, and you know I love Quinn Ewers. I worked at a camp with him younger. I've known him since he was in the 8th grade, going in the 9th grade. I love him. And I think Carson Beck's a good player. I wouldn't take either one of them with the first pick of the draft. They both look skittish.
Yeah.
They both miss throws that they can. I know both teams are good. Today, I'd take Garrett Nussmeier over and Shedeur Sanders over both of them. I would. So
wow.
I'm talking about today. Now, a lot can change.
I understand.
People like potential. I'm going on production and guts and what I see of I almost felt there was a little bit of fear in their eyes early to start that game. Does that make sense, Grant?
Yes, absolutely.
It felt like they were a little man, this is a big moment. And I know they both, Quinn went into Alabama and kicked their ass last year. So he gets it. And we've seen Carson Beck play great football. But this year, I think they played better football last year, whether it's injuries or not. So Georgia won. I don't know who the best team in the country is because about 9 of them I could choose. That Georgia team there will wear your ass out physically. That big boy football
Sean,
last weekend.
Sean, I got to tell you, the ensuing drive by Georgia, after that reversal and the Texas touchdown, bad field position to go the length of the field and score a touchdown, that may have been as good as any drive that I've seen in college football this year based on the environment, the momentum change, and everything else. That was a big-time drive.
And when they're there, and it goes back to the next step is a guy like Carson Beck responding after stuff like that happens. So there's plenty of time to get it right. I'm just talking about, like Nussmeier responded with that bender throw that he had to make on 4th and 5 against Ole Miss. Those are we go on moments. But the Heisman Trophy is going to end up at Boise State or Oregon or maybe at Miami. But I love those games that are when you're not playing your best. Who's going to gut it out and win a football game? Both of them are going to make the playoffs. Both of them are dangerous. But damn, Grant, this is one of those years this deep into the season. Yep. You tell me, is there a clear-cut, no-brainer best team in the country?
No, there isn't. And that's why I can't wait for January. The playoffs are going to be unbelievable. Yep.
Agreed. And another big week ahead. I'm telling you what, this LSU A&M game, don't sleep on this one. This is a hell of a football game, too, this weekend.
Sean, other than Lamar Jackson, is anyone playing better than Jared Goff right now?
No. I think Jared Goff – how we don't keep throwing him into the MVP talk is baffling.
He's got to be right up there at the top. No worse than 2 or 3. Yeah.
See, I think, and you know who do you think the MVP is right now, Grant?
In my opinion, it's Jared Goff.
See, and him, and you know who else? Look what Derrick Henry's doing for these guys.
Yes.
When people left him for dead, I mean, look what he is. He had 15 carries for almost $170.
Yeah, you know what?
And he's making Lamar Jackson's job a lot easier now. Yeah. I love Lamar, but I can tell you right now, Lamar's not the MVP of that team right now. It is Derrick Henry. I'm telling you. Imagine if I disagree, Jay. I disagree.
I disagree.
Lamar's in the top 5. The MVP on that team right now. Now I know a quarterback, he runs and throws. The guy who's making it go right now is Derrick Henry,
number 22.
Yes, and it can change. Lamar may win it, but I completely disagree, and I respect Jake. I know Jake's a regular for you. I don't think Lamar's the MVP on his own team right now, let alone the MVP in the league. But Lamar's in the talk. Derrick Henry's in the talk. Jared Goff belongs in the talk. And you know what else, Grant? You know what's crazy? And if they go and run 4 or 5 off, have you looked at Joe Burrow's stats? 3 and 4, your first initial thought is he's not playing well, right, Grant?
Playing great.
Completing 70%. Yep. He's thrown 14 touchdowns against 2 picks, and he's got like almost 1,800 yards. Yep. And we're like, and if it's not for him, hell, they're probably damn near they're in a chase mode, but they slowly get back into it. And Pittsburgh,
if they're a team that gets into the playoffs, I can't bet against them. To me, they're a team, just get into the show. That's all they need to do.
He's got the balls of a burglar, man, a daytime burglar, to waltz into your house when it's daylight while you're there and steal your ass. That's who he is. So, that division right now, and kudos to Russ Wilson for answering the call after a shitty start and to go and validate what Mike Tomlin said. Those 3 teams in that division.
Oh boy.
And Cleveland, who we thought was a possible playoff team, they're a horrible offense, and But it's just the Baltimore, to me, right now, the best team in football is Baltimore and Detroit. Those are the two best teams.
Don't ever bet against Mike Tomlin.
Right. There is no question. And Kansas City, as good as they are, but Grant, you look at them, their offenses right now.
Yeah.
Thank goodness Mahomes is making plays in Andy Reid, because they're really kind of getting DeAndre Hopkins will be a good thing, but they're just kind of blah. Mm-hmm. Their defense is playing out of their friggin' mind. And Spagnuolo is awesome, but the best teams in football are Baltimore and Detroit in my mind right now.
The Jets are one loss away from a volcano erupting in New York with the tabloids, the fans. This is a disaster waiting to happen. If they lose to New England on Sunday, oh my God, watch out.
Well, if they lose to New England on Sunday, Grant, then I got to start to ask, what is the real issue? Is it Rodgers that age caught up to him? Is it there's no leadership in the building? Is it that everybody's kind of on their own page? Is it I guess Robert Saleh is not the reason of the overall. I mean, he's not the only reason, right? I guess there's
he's got to be pretty happy right now.
Well, yeah, he won't say it out loud because some of his buddies are on there, but in truth, we all walk away with something like that, and you say, "Well, we're still getting our ass kicked." It's like, what's going on? Yep. I don't know what it is because I'm not that smart, but I know this: there is something missing, deep seated from that team that's going to prevent them. I thought they'd be a lot better. They are a major disappointment. One of the 3 or 4 biggest disappointments, whether it's individual or team in football this year. They're just. I mean, you can have an average game and beat them right now.
San Francisco, Dallas, Sunday night. Both teams really trying to find themselves. Both teams with injuries. Brock Purdy finally had a bad game.
He looked like a subpar quarterback. He looked like a 7th round pick.
Yeah, but you know what? That's all right. It's just really, to me, it's his first bad game. I'm okay with that. I'm really interested. This is to be a defining game for both these teams on Sunday night.
I can't fathom there's a part of me that thinks the 49ers are going to beat them down. Honestly, Grant, they came back. They've struggled. We know they're a Super Bowl talent team.
Yes.
Even when I know McCaffrey's been out, but they're loaded and now losing Ayuk. But Dallas has been challenged. Talk about a cultural problem. I mean, those guys don't.
Oh my God.
Jerry right out. It's just awful. I mean, no wonder. It's pathetic. So I don't think Purdy plays bad back to back. I don't. And you're right, Grant. I'm not saying entitled to him, but who doesn't have games like that? And once again, Spagnuolo went to work and did everything right in that football game to give the Chiefs a chance to win it defensively. Loser will be. They're already getting hammered in their cities, as you know. But to me, how would if you're the 49ers, how do you lose to this? There's a lot of words I'd use for them, but this dysfunctional, underachieving. Hell, I mean, they're
going to get Micah Parsons back. If they don't have Micah Parsons back, I don't see how they can beat San Francisco.
They can't. I mean, isn't it amazing what one guy does? I mean, it's putrid watching them play, which is sad, but. Give me the 49ers, at least as we sit here on a Wednesday. I can't believe they're going to go back and play back-to-back bad games against a team like the Dallas Cowboys yet. And it's a good point. Last year, the Cowboys were the best team in football at home. They didn't lose until the playoffs. This year, the Dallas Cowboys are a different team on the road. You play them at home, you'll score 50 on them. You play them on the road, there for whatever reason, it seems a bit different. I still like the 49ers this week against the Cowboys. I don't trust the Cowboys.
And obviously, without DeMarcus Lawrence on the field, that's a big loss for Dallas, too. You take him and Parsons off the field in that defense, and you do that with any team, your defense is going to suffer.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
All right. So in the NFC East, I mean, is it okay to just say we think Washington's the best team, or do you need to see them play against Philadelphia and Dallas? Well, maybe not Dallas, but you want to see them match up with Philadelphia and some of the other teams. I was impressed with what I saw in their loss against Baltimore. They showed me a lot. Now, Daniels has got the ribs, but I mean, should we be talking about them as one of the better teams in the NFL, or is that a little premature?
Maybe premature, but in the NFC, they look like a playoff team. I from what I've seen this year, just on this year's body of work, they're the best team in the NFC East. Cowboys up and down, too inconsistent. Philly, their coach, the fact that you're arguing with fans is just stop it. The most talented team in the East is Philly, but they still, I mean, I'm still waiting for them to bust out and play like they did their Super Bowl year. For my money right now, Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the division. And the Washington Commanders are the best team performance-wise in the division. I trust Dan Quinn more than I do Nick Sirianni. and more than I do Mike McCarthy right now. And I like Brian Dable, but they're just limited in what they can do. Washington. Now, if Philadelphia finds their way, that's a gifted football team. Talent, yes, but right now, for my money, Washington's played the best in the division this year.
All right, the Houston Texans. I got to tell, I know they're 5-2. I know you cover them day in, day out, and you know this team inside out. I watch them and I go, yeah, they're good, but there's something missing there. There's something that I'm just looking at and going, what is that? What am I seeing with them?
No, you're right, Grant. Kind of looks different than last year, doesn't it?
Yes.
A little more energy last year, a little more guts. They felt to me like they were more aggressive last year. And here they add Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs. I know Nico Collins is out, but they got a lot of bandwidth. They add these guys, and they're more conservative and not giving me as much in the pass game. And they can't block me and you in the pass game. I'm talking about basic schemes of pass protection. They're horseshit. They just are. They are whatever. If the right guard, I mean, you talk about an underachieving group that's got some talent, a bunch of first rounders on it. If they're not jumping off sides, they're letting free runners come. They're not sure who to block. And I didn't understand their series, their final series when they ran it, and then on 3rd and 15, threw an out cut short of the first down, outside the numbers.
Yeah.
They got one timeout. If he catches it, he's going out of bounds. You're stopping the clock anyway, and you're saving the clock for your opponent to go down in Green Bay to do their thing. I didn't understand. I would have ran a little angle to mix in or a little slant route, make them catch and tackle. If you break a tackle, you score. If you don't, you catch and tackle. Fairbairn's a great kicker. You didn't need extra yards. A guy can kick it from 63 like it's automatic. 50 is automatic for him. And then the clock keeps running. So you basically gave him 2 timeouts. You stopped it by throwing an incompletion, and it would have been in the stopped clock anyway if it would have been a catch, and still short of the first down. You would have to kick a field goal anyway. So for me, they are soft in pass protection. They do with Joe Mixon in there. Their running game's confident because Mixon brings his own blocker on a regular basis. But I don't think they're nasty. How's this, Grant? Let me just put it to you. The teams remember when the Raiders had Wisniewski and Kevin Gogan. And I think about the teams I was on. The best offensive line I was on, they want to cut your heart out, feed it to you, and they want to step on your throat. And they are nasty pricks and the nicest guys in the world off the field. But on Sundays, they are mean. I feel like a bit of nasty. I almost feel like I'm looking at guys that are wearing topside. I mean, this is a little bit hyperbolic, Grant, but the guy that is doing TikTok modeling videos as opposed to eating raw steak. You know what I mean? I want my offensive linemen because they usually set the tone for a team, and they're not physical enough. They're just not, and they don't pass protect the way they should. And you cannot keep getting that quarterback hit. He's so damn good. So they're missing aggressiveness. Something is now their defense flies around, but they self-inflict and make too many mistakes. They're the most overrated 5-2 in the league, and I love them. Yeah, I'm a huge DeMeco Ryans fan, but right now that 5-2 is a soft 5-2. You'd have to hit that playing blackjack. Let me put it to you that way.
I know you're a big baseball fan. How much interest do you have in this World Series? Will you be watching the Yankees and the Dodgers?
A lot, Grant. Just as a diehard baseball fan anyway, I watch the World Series. Now, I may be, if it was no disrespect, it was my Twins playing Miami Marlins, I might be, I wouldn't set my schedule to it, although I'd still watch it because it's the fall classic and I love it. But come on, man, Grant, as a Red, yeah, but it's true. I mean, no disrespect, but you get my point, right? I might find a movie to go to as opposed to that, even though I'd still watch part of it and root for the fans to love their team. It's the Dodgers, it's the Yankees. As a Red Sox guy my whole life and living in Houston these last 11 years where they keep winning, I know there's hatred, and I like villains. If your teams can't be in it, who doesn't? TV loves it, and the Major League Baseball and the networks are going nuts over it. But it's Reggie Jackson, 3 straight pitches, 3 straight home runs. It's Aaron Judge and Ohtani. We finally get to see Ohtani on this stage, which we've never seen. Mike Trout. We miss him from the Angels being on the stage. Ohtani goes to Dodgers and gets this stage. So I love it, man. Flaherty's got attitude. We got guys at the back in the bullpen. We got bullpen games. We got Soto, who's about to sit on about a $500 million contract.
Oh, boy.
Can Aaron Judge, with all the Hall of Fame Mickey Mantle type numbers he's put up in regular season, can he become Reggie Jackson in the postseason, which we're waiting on with a long ball? I just think the sidebars, the hate, and even the Houston fans, all the fans that hate the Dodgers and Yankees and did not want this. Yeah. But for me, I'm tuning into every game, Grant. This is what I grew up. You and I grew up. It was Yankees, Red Sox. It was A's, Cincinnati Reds.
Absolutely.
This was Lakers Celtics.
Yes.
And so for me, yeah, I'm going to watch it because the drama, and there's no more drama in sports than the constant waiting on the pitch and then steps off the rubber and the time clock and now fouls off 4 in a row, all that drama that goes with it. I hope it goes 7. I hope it's nasty. I hope there's brushback pitches. I hope there's monster home runs. I hope it's all there. And so, yeah, I'm going to watch it, and I'll watch it as if my team was playing in it, because I think with these historic franchises, there's too much not to want to see.
You know, I'm so happy you brought up those teams. I was so blessed, and I know I speak for you too, to be a big baseball fan in the 70s. And to this day, I still think the Big Red Machine with Sparky Anderson as the manager in that lineup. To me, that's still the best team of all time. Do you agree?
Yeah. What we had Bench, Rose, Concepcion, Morgan, Perez, Foster, Geronimo, and Griffey Sr., right?
Yeah.
That was
right.
Raleigh
And the pitching staff. Look at that pitching staff.
Yeah, Don Gullett, Gary
Don
Nolan,
Gullett.
Raleigh Eastwick, all those teams. And the A's had Rudy and Bando and Bert Campaneris and Dick Green and Mike Epstein and Gene Tennis and Reggie Jackson and Billy North. I mean,
Holtzman,
and
Hunter,
Vida Blue,
Raleigh
all
Fingers.
Catfish Hunter, Raleigh Fingers. Those, and Sparky Anderson, at times Billy Martin. Hell yeah. Dick Williams. I mean, that was the best offensive team. You know, I know that numbers get inflated with baseball juicing, but the lineup was exhausting when you had to face those Cincinnati Reds, and managed by everything about the Cincinnati Reds said champion. And I want to make a quick comment on Fernando. Grant,
Yes,
I'm sure you have. You know, Mike Marshall, the first baseman, and Steve Sachs. This is not just because they're stars. I was in Mike Marshall's wedding when I was at SC. Mike was in Mike's wedding, and Sachs was in his wedding too. And then Mark Cressy, the bullpen catcher. We were the 3 groomsmen, and Mike Marshall, the first baseman's wedding. So I went to Dodger games when I was at SC at a regular basis. You know, when you have those guys you're watching around, Saxy and I and Marshall had more laughs than you deserve to ever have, including the day of the wedding. I'll share that story too. So while we're waiting for the wedding. But that being said, I had the blessing and pleasure of going to watch Fernando when he came in like at 20 years old, and go to Dodger Stadium all the time. Grant, he was, and that was Showtime Lakers. SC, Marcus Allen winning Heisman trophies in 81, all those things. And Fernando was as big a thing as there was in Los Angeles at the time. That screwball from the left side, his wind up and staring at the sky, and a phenomenal human being. And everybody from the time he got there, he never left. Broadcaster on the hands, everything he ever did. I thought it was an honor. I'm grateful I got to watch Fernando Valenzuela pitch. And I hated the way, I know his body, you saw the way he looked at the end. At 63 years old, 60 is the new 50. I loved Fernando Valenzuela, not only watching him as a human being, but the way he handled himself as a pitcher. And you know what people don't know enough about? Like Bob Gibson, like Don Drysdale, like what's my guy in Madison Bumgarner?
Yep.
Fernando Valenzuela pinch hit. They put him out there on days when they had used up. Fernando Valenzuela was a phenomenal hitter that we don't give enough credit to. But it was pitching. He's still one. You think about Koufax and Drysdale. He's in the short list and Kershaw's of wins and innings. And I mean, it was that 1981 season too. He's just a phenomenal. And it's a sad day. We've had way too many too many guys in that area, and stars, sports stars. Pete Rose for phenomenal teams die at an age when they didn't look like they were ready to go at least a year before, right? Yeah, Walton, same way. Fernando was special, man. I was an honor to watch him pitch.
Great memories. By the way, I won't go into this now, but you mentioned Steve Sachs. He's a good buddy of mine too, and I hear you talk about Saxy, and I know you, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, those must have been some days. Those must have been some days.
Let me tell you something. Me, Saxy, and Marshall. Matter of fact, it should have been illegal. It was good fun, Grant. You know what I'm saying? But the 3, and we all had different personalities, but it was. And you talk about when he came in as a rookie, Saxy was as big as there was at LA too.
Oh boy.
Everybody friggin' loved Saxy. He played like Pete Rose, sprinted to first base.
Yep.
I still stay in touch. I mean, those two were such great friends. We had times that you should not be able to have and still live to tell about it. There you go.
Hey, right? Trust me, I know. All right.
Yeah, you're right. You're Sacramento. Saxy still lives there, right?
Yeah, Sacramento.
Saxy still lives in Sacramento. Sacramento's own, man. Yes, sir.
Remind me next week to tell you a Steve Sachs story on the air. I think you'll laugh your ass off. All right.
What a good human
It's
being.
one
Hey,
of the
man.
few that I can tell publicly, okay?
Oh, yeah. Well, trust me. I got plenty I can't, and a couple I can. There you go. I love you, brother. Enjoy,
I love
and
you too.
good luck on the NBA coverage. It's good it
Thank you,
started
buddy.
again. All right, buddy.
Take care.
Yeah. All right.
He is the best. He is absolutely the best. Jerry Reynolds, Ryan in Sacktown, right here tonight, 8 o'clock. Kings preview. Can't wait. Hope you can join us. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day. So long, everybody.